And presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 and use the promo code WELCOME to Light Years. My man Tommy, nice professional win against a Jalen Brunson.
Oh, yeah.
Knicks list side tonight, 126-113. I don't know what the score really tells the story of the game, but I think the bigger picture is now 4-1 at home, and they're starting to look more like the Warriors I thought we were going to see this season. Maybe part of that's just being at home, being able to reset a little bit, but big Jimmy Butler game. Some of the young guys, some of the role players are starting to come into it, and 23 and 19, starting to slowly climb above that 500 malaise they were in for like the first 30 games. And more importantly, if you look around the West, the Lakers are about to lose.
Suns
lost. There's zero reason this team should not get into the top 6 if they do not take the rest of the season seriously. Most notably with the trade deadline. We'll get into that later. But all in all, I mean, hey, look, it's been a rough start to the season, but I think this January it's turning a little better here. And I want to start with you on one thing and one thing only: Jimmy buckets.
Fucking hell, man. There has been a lot of talk, specifically obviously on Twitter, which all of us should look at less. But there's been a lot of talk about, is he worth $55, $60 million, whatever number they're paying him? Number one, if anybody says that, it shows a lack of understanding about how contracts and the CBA works in the NBA. You are basically always, if you are a team who is middle of the pack in your conference to upwards from there, you are almost always paying your 2 top guys max contracts. That's just how the structure of the league works. But number 2, he's worth every fucking penny. I know the counting stats don't pop out at you every night.
They did tonight, though.
They did tonight. But the way that he affects the game, and just the presence that he has on this team, in this organization, he seems like maybe the only guy, and Draymond as well, that's willing to push the front office and be like, hey, what we have isn't enough. This team is mediocre. And he's right. They have been mediocre for a lot of the year. There's a lot of reasons for that. We've gone over them ad nauseum. We don't need to hit those again. But nights like tonight show you that Jimmy still has a level, especially when he doesn't have to be the absolute top dog. And when you get good shooting performances from some of the roster, he can be the best player on the floor. And obviously, like you said, this is a Knicks team without Brunson, so it's a little bit easier of a game. But you also spotted him 15 points in the first quarter, and after that, it's you're plus 25 for the rest of the game. And a lot of that was just, I think the Knicks started 6 of 7 from 3. Like sometimes a team jumps on you early. Obviously, Mike Brown back in the Bay, like he's always kind of motivated to play the Warriors, even though the relationship there is still very strong. It's not like anybody hates Mike at all. Like if anything, it's all love towards Mike. But still, you want to beat your old team. But dude, Jimmy is just, he might not be the most skilled, he might not be the most athletic, but his understanding of the game, and this is something Steve has said recently, he's one of the most intelligent guys he's ever been around. He compares him to Andre Iguodala all the time, which is a compliment in every single way. And that fucking guy, he just knows how to play basketball. I think that's the simplest way to put it.
Also, look, I wouldn't describe him as skill, but 32 points. The dude's averaging 20 on the season. He knows how to get to his spots, and he knows how to put the ball in the basket when he needs to. And then on top of it, he's just a phenomenal passer. I think on top of how well he played tonight, maybe there's a little cap motivation there. You want to talk about $50 million? You want to talk about $50 million contracts? I'm just going to tell you right now, rather give Jimmy that 50 than Cat that 50. That's personally where I'm at with it. But a lot of it was like the lineups they're going with, the combinations. I hate that word. It's just such a cringe.
PTSD.
It's just way too locked into too many post gamers. That's what that is.
Yep.
You hear the same thing. But the lineup combinations, particularly going with the second unit, where they just spread Jimmy with shooting and athleticism and allow him to kind of operate out of the post in kind of like a 4-out setting. You can't guard that. Like he's obviously one of the best post players in the league. That goes without saying. And then what you really want to do with a guy who can take their man one-on-one in the post and make reads if you send a second guy is just space the floor better. Like, right? And that's what we're seeing. Moses Moody, 7 threes tonight. Looked awesome. As I was losing faith in him over the last weeks, the shot's coming around a little bit. And maybe it's never going to be as consistent as I want, but he can't shoot the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Another great night shooting the ball from Pods. Pods been sneakily playing really good basketball for like the last month plus.
Yep.
On that front. Another 8 for 9, 19 points, 2 for 3. Not hesitating on his shots. That's the biggest thing for me with Pods.
He's been so much more decisive just in general. I think he's finally understood, like you said, the last month. And I think it has been an under talked about part of kind of the resurgence. I was listening right before we jumped on, heard Steph and Allie Clifton talk in post game. They've won 10 to 14. And I don't care who's out. I don't care who you're playing against. The NBA regular season is a slog. And part of that, and obviously not the biggest part, Pods has been playing better. They're getting great minutes from him at kind of that 2-guard position. Moses has obviously been up and down. He was fantastic tonight, but like D'Anthony Melton being back, and like the counting stats don't look great for Melton tonight, but the end of that first quarter with Melton, he was everywhere defensively. He shut down personally, like just
plus
by
17,
himself.
plus 17, by the way. So
there you go. 5 points, but he's plus 17. There was a couple buckets as they're kind of trying to like steady the ship towards the end of that first quarter there, or a couple of defensive possessions, I should say, where, he gets the block on Josh Hart late in the shot clock, but also a time where Hart kind of beats him off the dribble. He rotates the Yabusele. He gets the block in the contest that ends up being a shot clock violation. Like that guy is such a good basketball player. And even on nights where he doesn't score 20, that's obviously a boost that they need a lot of nights right now. But even when he doesn't, he makes so many little plays, and he's so disruptive in so many ways to the other team that they are finding a formula in the same way that they did after the trade deadline with Jimmy last year. They are finding something that works now. And I tweeted something like this during the game. Is it enough to win a championship with the roster as currently constructed? I don't think it is. They'd have to have some really good fortune fall their way, but they are finding something that looks more like the team that we thought they would be preseason, where they'd win 50 plus games, than it did the first, month of the season, month and a half, where they're playing back-to-backs every night and they look old and tired and just decrepit against most teams.
And I want to kind of focus on Melton, because I feel like games where he doesn't shoot the ball well really highlight how valuable a player he is, because last game, I think he had 20 and he was hitting his shots. Tonight, it was a 2 for 8, 1 for 5 from 3. Clearly his scoring was not the reason he was impactful, but it's just the process with him. Like Steph said it, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 games ago. He said he's pretty much the prototypical 2-guard in the NBA right now. And I agree with that. It's like quick decision making. That's the first thing. Like he understands how to play at the mental pace that the veterans play at. So that's huge. He can shoot the ball. He understands which shots he's supposed to take. So even if he goes 1 for 5 from 3, he's guarded every time, because people know it's going up, and people know over the course of his career, that's a 38, 39% three-point shooter. So, look, if I don't guard him, this could be the night he goes 5 for 7 from 3, that sort of thing. And then lastly, the most important part with it is if you do guard him, he has the ability to put the ball in the hole. Ball on the floor. He has the ability to get to the rim. He has the ability to make the extra play for everyone. So it's exactly what you're looking for next to your Mount Rushmore caliber playmaker, and really like your Hall of Fame playmakers, and him and Jimmy. I'm not going to say he's as good as like Derek White or prime Drew Holiday, but he's in that vein, and he's certainly 100 times better than a veteran minimum player. He's only on a veteran minimum because of the injury. Right now, I'm wondering if the Warriors are even going to be able to keep him in the offseason, but it's not really worth getting into. But it's just like that type of player who truly gets it and can actually execute and play off of people is so, they're just hard to find. Yeah. We've gone through it. Like, we're going to talk the Kuminga stuff later in this, but they spent 5 years trying to get Kuminga to get this. Mm-hmm. And maybe he'll get it at some point in his career, but the reality also is it's kind of a mindset for guys. Probably won't,
It-
like Melton's kind of been this guy since he was in college too. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
it's I don't know.
I think there's two different ways to take it, right? Like either you have this mindset originally, like you're saying, where you're like, you're always kind of this guy. Like I think a lot of junkies like us have heard Caruso on the Old
Sure.
Man 3 pod talking about how, you know, when he got into the G League, it wasn't about trying to go score 25 a game. It's about what ways can I affect winning. That's the best way that I can get in the league. And Melt has always understood that. But also there is the other side, like you have the Aaron Gordon side where he thought he was a star player. You you try to be the number one option on a couple of teams that win 20 games, and you quickly find out that's not where I exist in the league. And that might be the path that Kuminga has to go through. That is not going to happen in Golden State. And I think that's very clear. And again, we will get to that later. But with Melton, you know, he does not have the ceiling, a consistent ceiling, I'd say, that a Derek White or a Drew Holiday has. At their peaks, those guys are better scorers. And some of that might just be he's been often injured. You know what I mean? And that, again, is why we get him on a veteran minimum contract. And he was never able to kind of have the runway to develop that type of offensive game. But you can get, you know, if he can give us 20 once every third game, that is incredibly valuable for a team that has been suffering for scoring. But he just, again, like a Drew, like a Alex Caruso, like a Derek White, he affects the game in so many ways to where even when he does not shoot the basketball well, he is making a positive impact. And to kind of cap this off, I'd be interested to see what you think about this, because this is just kind of something that popped in my mind as you were talking there. Has he had an effect on pods? The mentality that we've seen pods approach the game with basically since Melton came back, more or less. And I think some of that is being motivated by, hey man, if I don't play well, I'll be on the bench, because we have a guy eventually, you know, if he stays healthy with Melton, that can play 30 to 35 minutes a game, and he can do all the things that I do and some of it better, a lot of it better. Do you think that has had an effect, not only from that standpoint, but just like a mentorship standpoint on pods of like, oh, this is actually now how I need to approach the game right now in this setting?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good theory. I hadn't thought about it from that angle.
Yep.
You might be right. I think part of pods coming around is also them committing to a rotation and him getting a little more comfortable. Like, he's not starting. He was starting at the beginning of this, or they were doing the yo-yo thing where it's like start one game, don't start the other.
Yeah.
He isn't as like vocal as other guys, but there were complaints about like, I can't get my rhythm, like I don't know what my role is, that sort of thing. Now he knows exactly where he's fitting into it. Melton is part of that. Like the pods, Melton as the two guards with the second unit with Jimmy, just it works so well. You know, it's a good fit. You have two ball handlers. Neither of them are pure point guards, but you have enough ball handling and shooting around Jimmy, who you're really going to run the offense through in those scenarios, that it works. That it probably plays to both of their strengths, because both those guys are, I would never really want either of them to be like a primary point guard in any lineup combination, but also they're good enough to make decisions that you want them to have the ball in their hand. Like you don't want them standing in the corner either. So
no, they are guys who are good off a second action, right? You don't necessarily want them creating the initial advantage, but if somebody else can create that initial advantage, you can trust that most of the time they're going to make the right decision with the ball. And this just popped up in our comments here. Yes, Paz said in a halftime interview earlier with Howie, he and Melton talk often about how to play off the bench. You know, like, and again, these are things that we can go back to just kind of from a big picture standpoint. Having a guy who's not only a veteran like Melton, who's been in the league for a little bit, who's bounced around, who hasn't found the proper role and a home like he might have in Golden State, and we'll see what happens in the summer with contracts and everything. But not only that, he's in his prime, and the lack of those type of guys that the Warriors have had over the last 4 to 5 years, that has been the biggest issue with this team. It's finding the balance between, of course, you need veterans like an Al, like the older guys who are just kind of sage veterans, but the talent isn't there anymore. You need guys in that sweet spot where they're still in their prime athletically as a player, but they also have that veteran wisdom. So the younger guys listen to him, because it's like, realistically, Al's only going to play 16 to 20 minutes a night. So like, even if he's talking to a younger guy, they still know they're going to get minutes. With a guy like Melton, he can take all of Pod's minutes, or a majority of them, if Pods isn't playing correctly. So I think this has been, and again, like it's not something we talked about before, but I think it's been a big boon for Pods to have Melton in-house and playing like he's playing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just common sense too. Like, Steph and Draymond and Jimmy are they're old men with kids. They're in a different stage of their life. Who's gonna relate to someone like Pods or Moody more succinctly? It's gonna be the 27-year-old, the guy who's been around the league a little bit, the guy who can speak their language, the guy who can be a little young, and the guy, by the way, he's just a veteran. He's not like a core, like, I need to go talk to the media all day, all the time. Like, he's a locker room guy. Like, GP2 also filled that role for a certain period of time. He's getting a little older. Honestly, completely different player, but like Melton feels so much like Otto Porter, where he's like bridging the gap, and he's just such a smart player. And you just know when the game matters, he's on the floor in any capacity. So, yeah, it's been the most frustrating. You know, people can blame the CBA. You can talk about a bunch of different things, but like the Warriors' inability to get players between 25 and 30 who are neither on their rookie contract nor on max contracts has been one of their bigger issues in general. And I know everyone wants role players who are 27 years old like Melton. I get that. It's not the easiest thing to find, but like that is kind of something they've been searching for. And he's doing what I thought he would do last year. Unfortunately, the injury, but it's good to see him healthy. I think he's fully back as far as I'm concerned. I think he looks pretty back the last, call it 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so. And I think, I hope he stays healthy because he is such a good player.
That was the only thing I was thinking tonight when he had that little stretch in the first quarter defensively. I'm like, goddamn, just please stay healthy. And they're going to manage minutes properly. Like they've done that so far. They'll probably keep him out of some back-to-backs still. Celebrini really is fantastic with this stuff. Like, for all the shit that we've talked about the organization over the past 5 years, they really did get the hire right with their, whatever you want to put his title as, manager of their sports medicine, their athletic, whatever it is.
Joints are.
Yeah, exactly. Like he is the guy that kept Otto Porter healthy. That was Otto's last year of his career. That's how broken down Otto was. He played 60 games that year. And, this is the last thing I'll say on this. People in the comments are talking about Melton's like an aggressive shooter, but not a good shooter. Melton's last 10 games. So kind of after he got over the initial injury rust, he's at 13 points a game, 4 boards, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals, 52, 42, 80. 42% from 3 in his last 10 games. He's just, like you said earlier, he is way more than a veteran minimum contract. He's a $15 to $20 million player if he's healthy. And he continues to prove it. It really is just about health with him. It really is.
We also just like are glossing over his actual best value, which is his defense too. Like he doesn't just guard the other team's best player. He makes plays defensively. Yep. Like a normal DeAnthony Melton game, you walk away from it being like, I feel like he has hands on like 10 different balls, like deflection, steal, block. Yeah. Exactly. But hey, it's true. I also want to point this out. Like, yeah, he shot the ball horrendously the first 10 games off of injury. Yeah. I'm going to tell you what he shot the ball over the last 5 years. Right. Not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 or 5 years. Since 2021, 38.3% from 3 on 5 a game. I'm going to go with that sample a little more than the first 8 to 10 games off an injury where he was short on everything. The dude, like, yes, he's not Klay Thompson. And if that's the standard you're holding people to, you're going to be disappointed with everyone not named Steph Curry, but he's proven consistently he is a high 30s% 3-point shooter. And more importantly than anything, if he's open, he hits it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If it's a hard contest, like, yeah, maybe not, but he has the ability to put the ball on the floor and make a play, which differs from like a Moses Moody, who also shoots about that percentage. But if they're closing on him, he doesn't necessarily have the ability to make a play off the bounce the same way someone like like Melton can. So I don't know, it's perfect. That, and also that's a great percentage. Like, look around the league. Like, we're waxing poetic about Derek White. What do you think Derek White has shot the last 5 years from 3?
Probably around there. And mind you, the Melton's numbers with, you're saying 5.5 attempts a game. He never plays over like 25 to 26 minutes a game, which isn't a concern in its own right. But he's putting up 5.5 attempts a game in that many minutes per 36. That's like 8 attempts a game on 38%. That's as elite as it gets. In the last 10 games that I just read off, it's 1.5 steals a game, and he's playing 22 minutes. I don't think people realize how absurd that is. If he's playing the full 35, you're right near the league leaders in steals. Like, that's how disruptive he is on the defensive end.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk some prize picks, huh? Got some big NFL games this weekend. I think that everybody should be excited for it. It's going to be a great divisional round. Light Years Podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football or basketball season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Sam, do you have anything you're looking at this weekend on Prize Picks?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm spamming the more on every McCaffrey play.
I feel like that.
I said this to Andy last pod, but so obviously George Kittle's not playing this weekend, which sucks. You know, the Achilles, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's rough.
He missed 5 games earlier this year. Guess how many pass attempts were thrown McCaffrey's way in those games that Kittle missed?
Total or per game?
Either.
I would say they're throwing it to him 8.5, 9 times in those games.
10.
Yeah.
10 receiving targets a game.
Yeah.
I don't know how well they'll be able to run the ball against Seattle. I don't know how well they'll be able to stretch the field against Seattle. I am so confident McCaffrey is going to get 10 plus passes in the flat underneath stuff. And whatever the numbers are on receptions, on targets, on yards through the air, that's what I'm playing right now. I'm very locked in on that. I think it's going to be a lot of death by paper cuts and feed McCaffrey the ball 50 times a game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's more on anything McCaffrey. I think it's honestly a foolproof strategy at this point to go with that. Like, any McCaffrey game all year has been like that. So Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. The app is really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win. So download the app today and use code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
Hey, guys. And got one more thing to talk about, and that's Thrive Market. So I don't know how many of you use Thrive Market. I was actually using it before they joined the show, which I love. Guys, new year, same chaos. But what if your pantry could actually make your life easier? Running a home is already enough. You shouldn't have to also think about ingredients and be a detective. And does this have too much sugar? Is this unhealthy? Is this going to make my son act like a psychopath? All the stuff that, unfortunately, I think about way too often these days. What I love about Thrive Market is they have a bunch of healthy options for you, and they make it easy for you to understand what you're ordering at the best price via their mobile app. Guys, Thrive's app makes it easy to shop for your family's needs without endless label reading. Use their 90+ filters, high protein, low sugar, gluten-free, plant-based, whatever it is, and they'll give you exactly what you need. So guys, join Thrive Market with our link, thrivemarket.com/lightyears for 30% off your order plus a free $60 gift. That's Thrive Market/lightyears, 30% off plus a free $60 gift. All right. So, by the way, I dropped the link for everyone here. If you want to call in, click the link. We'll get to you in a couple minutes.
Yep.
We buried the lead on today. You know what today is?
Oh.
It's Kuminga Trade Eligible Day. Shout out Bill Simmons. Shout out Bill.
Re-Apex, baby. He's so back. Did you hear the clip about him talking about the most likely to be O.J. Simpson award, where he said it was going to be Peyton Manning? People are just Bill's back. But yes, it is Kuminga Trade Eligible Day, January 15th, the day that has been in everybody's mind for months, and officially requested a trade through Shams and Anthony Slater. Not that he hadn't requested a trade 18 months ago. And it's not the first time we've heard him demand a trade or say that he's lost faith in the organization. But yeah, we're here. It feels like a day that everybody's just kind of been generally waiting for the past 4 or 5 months. So next couple weeks are going to be interesting. That's for sure.
I think my big takeaway from all this stuff, because I don't feel the need to rehash every little detail in it. I think my big takeaway is, unfortunately, I'm very convinced this is going to go to the deadline. And I was really hoping I would not be getting on this pod tonight saying that. I had some dumb optimism 2 weeks ago. But unfortunately, reality hits. It does not seem the market's there the way that the Warriors want it. And I think it's just going to have to drag a little bit here, which is frustrating because they could use the move right now. But I want to ask you this, Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
As you're watching this Warriors team, would you agree with me? You feel pretty good about the backcourt rotation if Melton can stay healthy?
Absolutely. 100%. And go ahead.
So my question for you is, do you deem the larger priority getting a wing or a big?
Oh, man. The
age-old question, baby.
I still say a versatile wing. I just think it's more playoff viable. And yes, would a big man be nice to help with the regular season? Does a shot blocking and a rim running presence sound nice? Of course it does. Like, those are absolutely things I take on this team, and I think they could help during the regular season. How much is that guy realistically going to play in the playoffs? And I'm shocked that I'm saying this because I've been begging for a real big man for the last 3 to 4 years. But with Post being playable enough, and I think he's kind of plateauing in a way. He has not been shooting the ball well, and that's probably because they're asking more of him on defense. But at the very least, right now, Post can be a Zaza type presence where he protects the rim really well. He battles on defense, and at least teams guard him. You know what I mean? Like, teams are going to guard him out to the 3-point line, regardless of whether or not he's making shots. And Al's been really good lately. He really has. Again, would I like that rim running presence? Yes. But if you can get me a 6'8" to 6'9" wing who can shoot the basketball and is versatile enough defensively, can provide either rebounding or some type of rim protection or some type of off-ball presence, I still think I lean towards that, especially if we're thinking about the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I want both.
Sure.
I think it's possible to get both. I think both would actually make them a little more versatile. I think Quentin Post, I don't want to say he's turning into a pumpkin, but you're seeing kind of like they're stretching how far you can really take a second-year player who's that late in the second round. He's, what did he play tonight? 5 minutes? 10 minutes?
He's hitting his
11 minutes. There we go.
A second-year wall, not the rookie wall, but a second-year wall.
Yeah, and so would it be nice to have an athlete on the front line and a wing? Yeah. In a perfect world, they go get Trey Murphy and Daniel Gafford. They do have the ability to match the contracts for both of those. That plugs 2 holes. Now I feel really good about the rotation. God forbid they do that.
That's going to cost you 3 first-round picks, buddy. Not allowed.
I've been thinking about it more so. I'm curious your opinion. Would you rather give up 2 firsts for MPJ, who apparently they're not interested? Can I just say one thing? I don't buy that they're not talking to teams. I do buy that they will not pull a deal off, but I don't buy that they're not pursuing these players. This feels like lame leveraging, but let me put that aside. Would you rather get MPJ, who is rumored to cost 2 firsts, or Trey Murphy, who's rumored to cost 3 and will assuredly cost you 2032? So in other words, look, 2028's Steph's turning 40. 2032, I promise you he's not playing. That's for sure a post-Steph pick.
Maybe not. You never know. Maybe he's Tom Brady. Okay, first of all, and I will answer the question. What will you do if they don't pull off a trade by the deadline? Now, there was and I don't know if anybody knows this, there was a Carolina Panthers podcast who stopped podcasting after week 4 or 5.
I saw that.
Yep, Meow Mix. They stopped podcasting after week 4 or 5 because they were so bad. Are we taking light years off the air if they don't pull up a Kuminga trade by February?
No, 5th? I'm not taking light years off the air, but I will. The tone will change. I'm being very charitable to Kirk. I'm being very charitable to Mike. Being very charitable to Joe. I'm being very charitable to Fatoki, Chuck Hayes. But just keep naming the front office guys. I haven't liked the way they've operated over the last couple of years, to be honest with you. But the reality is they did what they did over the summer to have this optionality at the deadline. All right, I'll give you to the deadline. I will give you to, even though I would prefer it to have been today, I will give you till the deadline to get it done. So that's where I'm at mentally with it.
Okay, that's totally fair. I'm in the same spot. After the deadline, then we got to talk. They
lose the next game. I'm gonna be fucking frustrated. Like, what the fuck, guys? But anyway, put that aside.
We'll talk about storming Chase if they don't pull off something by the deadline.
Yeah.
But back to the MPJ or Trey thing. So it's MPJ for 2 firsts or Trey for 3. I think where I land on this in like kind of a more big picture sense, I do think MPJ is probably more helpful in the short term. And I'm talking about the next 18 months in a way. I think the way if he continues like the same form that he's played in with Brooklyn this year, and he can bring, because at the end, I've heard some people question the fit over the last 12 to 24 hours. I've heard some people question whether he's worth the money. That is it. If that is not a smoke screen coming from the Warriors organization because they're trying to lower the price, they are way fucking dumber than we thought they were. There is not a more hand-in-glove fit offensively than Michael Porter Jr. He is Klay Thompson with a tiny bit of Kevin Durant mixed in there. So he's going to hold the ball a little bit more than Klay. But people forget Klay did hold the ball sometimes. Like, he would get into the post and he'd take a couple of dribbles. He'd kind of stare at the defense for too long, and then he'd make the most ridiculous shot you've ever seen. So I think in the short term, MPJ is more helpful. And if I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of concerned about the next 18 months way more than I am the next 40 months, 48 months. I think Trey is more helpful in that sense. He's on a better contract. I think culturally, just he's a better fit. I think he's somebody that's willing to come in and fit in any situation. He doesn't have as many opinions. You're not going to get Trey Murphy on a podcast talking about gay son or thought daughter. Like, these are things that are not going to happen with Trey Murphy. And I had to say it. MPJ, he might say some things that are going to piss guys not necessarily guys in the locker room, but it might piss management off. It might make Steve Kerr feel uncomfortable. But that dude is one of the
Steve can feel uncomfortable for 40 points on 20 shots.
He didn't think he was going to like Jimmy either, and Jimmy and MPJ are way different personalities. But at the end of the day, MPJ is probably one of the 15 to 20 best scorers in the NBA right now, and that might be underplaying it. That guy.
So I'm gonna actually disagree with you on this one, and I love MPJ. He's one of my favorite players, leading the bandwagon. I think Trey helps them more in the short term and the long term.
Really?
And my argument for it is Trey has far more defensive upside than MPJ. And what we're really talking about is a guy who's going to slot in as a third option offensively, with some nights being a second option. Mm-hmm. But what they're going to really be asked to do is fill all the gaps. What we're looking for is a guy who can do what Moses Moody does, but at a higher level.
Sure.
We are looking for what Klay Thompson was. We're looking for Chris Bosh. We're looking for one of these guys where you're just like, they're comfortable and effective as a third option, but then they have the offensive juice to raise their game when it's needed to. And that's hard to find. That's really hard to find. MPJ is undoubtedly the better offensive player of the two. I might argue he's a top 10 offensive player in the league, period.
He's ridiculous.
There is no upper limit to the amount of bad shots he can take that will affect his efficiency. He is in that, he's not Steph, because that's insane, but he is kind of in that Clay. I'll throw Lowry in there. I might even throw Dirk as an X guy, where it's just you give him the ball at their spot. dude, they might have a bad shooting night, but I promise you over the course of a season, it's going in efficiently. There's no like actual defending it.
Out of the top 10 guys in the league right now who have taken the most tightly contested shots, so 0 to 2 feet.
Mhm.
It's a stat that was running around Twitter the other day. MPJ has taken like, I think almost double more than like that guy who's in second place. And he's shooting 40% on those looks. And I think that's from 3, mind you. Nobody else is shooting above besides Steph. Nobody else is shooting
Nope.
above like 38%. He is that level of shot maker. Like when we say that he is Klay Thompson offensively, that is not a fucking exaggeration. He is that offensively. Now there's other issues with him, but offensively, he will bring exactly what Klay brought for the most part. There might be some differences, but he is there. And I don't think there's not a doubt about that in my mind.
And so would I like him on the Warriors? Of course. He would really help the team, but I keep coming back to this. If it's a perfect world and I have to think about it through like more, I want the guy who's more athletic. I want the guy who's a lob threat while also being a shooting threat.
That's
the
fair.
guy who was in a dunk contest. You're telling me I have Trey Murphy and D'Anthony Melton. Now I feel good about my athleticism with the older core. Whereas MPJ, look, he's got the size and that matters and that helps no matter what, but they're going to be slow, man. They're going to be slow defensively with MPJ, Jimmy, and Draymond out there. And they might be able to overcome it just on the combination of skill, IQ, and dog. But I don't know. Like, I keep coming back to it. At first, I was like, man, I don't know about trading all those post-Steph picks for Trey Murphy. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, if they're really willing to give them to you for 3 picks, one of which, by the way, will for sure be this year's pick,
Yes,
which is a throwaway. You're talking about 2 picks. And look, if you bottom out and you give the other team the first pick, there's no doubt about it. You screwed up. You know, that sucks. But even if you give a team the 4th pick in the draft, the 4th pick in the draft is probably not as good as Trey Murphy in most years. This is a great draft, by the way, the one that just happened. Let's walk through the top 4 picks. Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, Con Kneppel. I would love everyone. They're all dudes.
incredible.
I'm not convinced outside of Cooper Flagg, any of those dudes are that far better than what Trey Murphy will be. They may end up better than him. But you're talking about like there's this idea that you give up the 3rd pick, you're getting Michael Jordan. No, like because MJ was the 3rd pick. It's like great. Giannis was the 15th pick. That doesn't mean every 15th pick is Giannis. You know what I mean? Like forget who they selected. What I'm saying is on the Warriors, he's a guaranteed all-star. And he might be an all-star outside of the Warriors this year anyway.
Sure.
You're talking about a guy who's 25 to 30. He's going to be an all-star the next 5 years. He plays the most valuable position in basketball right now, which is an actual 2-way wing. Yeah, I guess you always run the risk that like Darren Peterson or like the next Wemby comes along. But like in general, if you have a guy like that, you're pretty happy with exchanging like the 3rd to 6th pick in a draft for him.
There is number one, there's another draft every year. There's another pick the next okay, so here's where with Trey, I'm pretty damn comfortable giving 2 unprotecteds this year in 2028. I'd prefer the 3rd to be a swap. Preferred it. But if they have to give up a 3rd and it's lightly protected, totally fine with that as well. I do think Trey's defense is a little bit overrated. And I think some of
it is, but I think I don't think he has Andrew Wiggins 2022 upside because that's unfair. But like he has all the tools. He clearly is a smart, team-oriented player. Like just get him in a good system and everyone's going to be talking about how he's an all NBA caliber defender.
Right. Now if he's an average defender right now with, the impact waxes and wanes, I think on the Warriors at the very least he is I think at the very, very least he is a solid wing defender. And if you can really he doesn't have as much offensive responsibility because Steph and Jimmy are handling most of the playmaking and he's just kind of a secondary guy in terms of like the creation stuff off of them. He's shooting open threes. He's attacking closeouts. He does some of his own self-creation. There's more energy for defense. This is how it always works. part of the reason that Wiggins' defense improved, obviously there's culture there. Draymond's, got his foot up his ass the entire time. But a lot of it was Wiggins isn't creating everything for Minnesota anymore. He can focus on, I only need to score 16 points tonight. I can go get 12 rebounds. I could go just worry about guarding Jason Tatum. And the last thing I'll say on Trey is last 10 games, 28.5, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 53% from the field, 41% from 3. If you don't think that's worth 3, and like you said, good enough defensively at the very least and maybe better, if you don't think that's worth 3 first round
and he's
picks,
25.
And he's 25 and he's on a great contract. He's got 3 or 4 more years left at about 25 to 30 mil a year. You're not going to find a better contract for the guy that's producing like he is. If you don't think that's worth 3 first round picks, you're out of your fucking mind. With the state that the Warriors are currently in, where they're trying to contend supposedly over the next couple of years, that player is easily worth 3 first round picks.
It's really if you're just willing to accept the fact that in 2032, when everyone's gone, you don't have a pick. That's really what it comes out. Are you willing to put that like handcuff on your rebuild? That's really all it comes down to. And to be honest, they haven't shown me that they're willing to. And honestly, I understand it philosophically. I'm not suggesting you just throw the stuff away, but the more I think about Trey Murphy, the more I'm like, yeah, do it, dude. He's worth it. He's above my line. You know what I mean? Like we all have a line. Like they clearly weren't willing to do that for Cam Johnson. Right. Annoying, but I get it. Trey's a lot better than Cam Johnson. How many wings are there in the NBA who can shoot the way he does, function offensively as an off-ball player, giving you a consistent 20 points, probably second, third option on a real team, and also factor in defensively the way he does, like a true two-way, like Knight of Klay. Like these are all like Klay Thompson. Klay is kind of that guy. I think there's like 5 of them in the total league. Maybe
they're malleable wings. There are certain guys in the NBA where they need a certain amount of touches to score as much as they do. And MPJ is a little bit more like that than Trey. Trey's not like that at all. He can function as a fully off-ball guy or a fully on-ball guy. And the efficiency might dip a little bit when he's on ball, but it doesn't seem to, at least not with the Pelicans right now. I mean, and the thing is, you can say, oh, that 2032 pick is risky, even if it's unprotected. And I agree it is. But if you trade 2026, 2028, 2032, you still have 2029, 2030, 2031, 2023, those picks aren't going anywhere. If you don't trust yourself to make a good pick in the first round when you're bad between 2029 and 2031, that says more about you as an organization than it does about anything else.
And all I hear about is how they owe it to Steph to go for it. Take a risk, dude. I agree with you. If it's going to take giving all of your picks to get him, that maybe that's too much. But if you're really talking about tying up the next 2 years, 3 years, plus throwing one pick 7 years down the road, get it done. Get it done. He crosses my line. I also just you start. Do you do the thing I do, which is you just start looking at every team's roster, wondering if you've forgotten about someone, wondering is there something out there that I haven't thought about? And I've done that a lot, way too much, more than I should publicly admit. And I keep coming back to this. It's no, he's it's not out there, and he is by far your best option. Hey, we got a bunch of people we want to get to, so I want to get to them real quick, Tommy. Before we do, I want to just talk about our friends at Body Spec real quick. Body Spec's been great to us over the years. My favorite sponsor, bodyspec.com. They make getting a DEXA scan affordable for all. What's a DEXA scan? It's a highly accurate method of measuring your body's composition. Look, it's January. We all got New Year's resolutions. You want to figure out, you want to get in better shape. The first part of that's figuring out where you are physically. So with Body Spec, you can get a DEXA scan for only $45 with the code LIGHTYEARS45. What's a DEXA scan? It's a highly accurate method of measuring your body's composition. Lean muscle mass, body fat percentage, visceral fat, the fat around your organs. Get a real diagnostic of your body then, instead of just standing on the scale and be like, wow, I weigh 201 pounds. This actually tells you where you are. And they've made it affordable for everyone. So Body Spec is only $45. They got mobile vans. They'll come to you. They'll scan you. Traditionally, this has cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So it's a no-brainer. Guys, bodyspec.com, code LightYears45. Get that DEXA scan. Start your fitness journey. All right. I appreciate everyone who's been patient. We're going to get through this one by one. If you're waiting in the queue, we will get to you. Tom, what's up, brother?
Nothing much. What's up, fellas?
Oh, Indiana. Wow.
Yeah,
How we feel about our Hoosiers
Hoosier
on Monday?
Oh, they're hammer them.
Machine. Absolute fucking machine.
Did you go to Indiana?
I did, yeah. That's actually how I became a Golden State fan, because my ex-girlfriend, I met her at IU, and she was from the Bay Area, and we dated for a long time, and I spent a lot of time in San Francisco. But anyways,
nice.
I kind of agree with you, Sam. I don't know. I just think Curry is – I don't know if they're ever going to get a player as good as Curry, and it's like just maximize what you can get out of his career, because maybe I'm optimistic, but I still feel like this team is like a piece away from making a deep run, and I think the West is sort of opening up. I feel like the Thunder are starting to look a little more human. I know it's just the regular season. Maybe they're in a lull, but like – I don't know. Jokic is going to be out for 4 weeks. The Lakers and Rockets are starting to lose a little bit. I feel like they're not going to have as many back-to-backs. I do think the next 3 games are kind of important, just because they do have a back-to-back with the Raptors and Heat. Don't love that they get the Raptors, which is, what happened in the last game. They're kind of like that sneaky athletic team that's, I think we can go 3-0. Just hope we do.
At home, though. Those games are at home.
Yeah, but there was kind of like that Blazers game early in the season or whatever, at home back-to-back. But I don't know. They can go 3-0. And then as far as I think Porter is definitely the better move over Trey, just because of his – MPJ, spent 5-6 years on the Nuggets, like competing in the playoffs. Just bigger moments. Better shooter. He really helped that team when they won their championship too. I just think you're taking I know Trey Murphy's really good, maybe a little bit younger, still only plays like 53 games this season. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's all I got, guys.
Appreciate it, man. I like that. That's one vote. That's one vote towards Tommy on the MPJ bucket. I'm going to say this. I'm okay losing this one. I love MPJ. Like, I'll just the mental exercise. I've talked myself into mortgaging the entire future one way or another. Tom, appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, Tom.
All right, let's get to it. Who we got next? Let's get Greg up here. Greg, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, brothers?
Solid Thursday night.
Yeah, listen, man, I'm all the way in Florida, so it's way past my bedtime, but I had to wait for this game.
I appreciate you staying up with us.
Yeah, man. Listen, I listened keenly to what you guys, the suggestions that you're making for the trade. I do think the Trey Murphy trade covers more ground than the MPJ trade, because he's more of a two-way player. And I think what this team needs is a player who can come in, be our third scorer, consistently score 17 to 18 points per game, and grab 7 rebounds and play solid defense. I think that player that we're really looking for is really Triple J. I think Jaren Jackson Jr.
Ooh,
is who?
Okay.
I missed the name there.
I think if we get Jaren Jackson Jr. in here, because what we're looking to do, we're looking to upgrade our starting lineup in one of 2 ways. We're either going to upgrade that 2-guard spot where Moody's at, or that 5 spot where Post is at. Triple J would upgrade us at the 2 spot, at the 2-guard spot. He's like Clay. We're going to play him like Clay Thompson. But Triple J, he would improve us at that center spot. And we could always improve the 2-guard spot from within house. We could just put Melton in there instead of Moody. So if you have Steph, Melton, Jimmy at the 3, Draymond at the 4, and Triple J at the 5, now you have a serious team.
This is something I've thought about, and I won't say I haven't, but have you? And at the risk of sounding too much like Joe Lacob here, have you looked at his extension?
Forget that. I'm gonna counter this real quick here.
Okay.
I do think there's a chance he gets moved.
Yes.
They're gonna trade Ja. If they trade Ja, they're gonna go in all different directions. So it's certainly there, but I have an actual concern with Jaren Jackson, and that's not him individually. It's, are we sure a center is the best way to build around Jimmy and Draymond, assuming they're both on the roster? Because I think it makes them slow. I really do.
It not only makes them slow, it's just like, isn't Jaren just and he's way better defensively? Isn't he just a version of Cat? Like, isn't he just so like two different sides of the same pillow?
He's better than that.
No, he is. But the guy never plays more than 28 minutes a game because he can't stop fucking fouling. He's a great player. He doesn't rebound ever. He shoots it well, I guess, but like I don't trust the shot. Does your spacing and kind of the I don't know, the synchronicity of your offense get thrown off a little bit with guys like Jaren and Draymond and Jimmy who all want to hold the ball? Like he's a good player. Like, don't get me wrong. In a vacuum, I would absolutely take him on the Warriors. With the current team, I just don't know if I see it. Like you said, the slowness defensively, Sam, they become way less switchable. He does not rebound the basketball. Michael Porter Jr. and Trey Murphy are both better rebounders than him, which for a guy who's 6'10", with his physical profile is absolutely ridiculous.
Closer to 7 feet tall, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
And with a crazy wingspan. Like, he is a good player, but I think pre-Jimmy, this would have been, yes, 100% absolutely I would do this move. Post-Jimmy, Jimmy's still a better player than him. I don't know if I see it as much for a multitude of reasons.
I'm intrigued, but I agree with you. Greg, we appreciate you calling again.
Thanks,
you guys do a wonderful job, man. Big up yourself. Cool.
Hey.
This is really sweet. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's get Eugene up here. I know Eugene's got some takes for us.
The ping hat tonight.
Yeah, I'm a ping guy. Okay. Hey, I know this isn't a baseball pod, but screw the Dodgers and the stupid Affirm pay later contract that they're pulling off. I wish Joe could do that. That would help us a little bit.
Look, man, we're playing within the rules of the CBA. That's all I'm going to say.
Enough of that. Anyways, look, I'm
giving him Jaren Jackson money. What are we doing?
On that note, Jaren, I think he's a fake good shooter, and we've seen him enough where he always fouls out in the playoffs, and I'm just like, I don't know if it's worth keeping him. Look, in regards to Trey versus Michael, I think it's Trey hands down. Look, we're the only team where our young guys are the least athletic guys on our team. We're the only team in the league that has that spectrum. Like, how is that? And the only athletic guy you have does not see the floor. You know what I'm saying? So, like, look, we got issues still. Like, we're playing a lot better. I think I mentioned before, I really believe when Melton was healthy, he solved a lot of things, and I truly believe we're seeing that. But we gotta get some vert. Like, this seems like a simple caveman take, but we need someone that can dunk and that can run and that can kind of like at least give a shot when we're going against Portland. OG Anunoby looked like prime LeBron James tonight.
Yeah, he really did.
And he would have been nice on the Warriors, but that's another conversation, neither here nor there. In regards to the picks, like, look, hey, you have the inside sources, Sam, so you let Kirk know all this. But if the market is Desmond Bane for 4 firsts and a swap, Trey for 3 picks is a steal, man. Like, I would much rather have Trey than Desmond Bane right now, just off of what his value is. So I think that value is there. Again, I believe this is all smokescreen stuff. I really think Joe has turned the corner with all these emails. I mean, you saw all the emails leaking on Twitter past couple hours and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I'm big on Trey. I really think it happens.
I think I respect Joe more for trying to fight someone for emailing him. Say it to my face.
I mean, it kind of shows me he's getting a little volatile, which I think is good. I think he realizes it's not going to his plan. But yeah, I think whoever we trade, I believe it should be a wing, just a wing over 6'8", man. Like, again, this is a simple caveman take, but when we went against Portland or Atlanta, we look so slow, man. We just need some guys that have a vert over.
I mean, you're correct, and this is where I keep coming back to the Trey Murphy point. It's like we just need a 6'8" wing who can play two ways and is athletic. And then you start doing the math on it. It's like, fuck, there's like 12 of those in the league. 8 of them, their team's never going to trade them. Actually, not 8, like 10 of them, their team's never going to trade them. And then you think about like when Trey Murphy is available and I hear 3 picks and I hear like 1 post-Steph pick, I'm just like, I really don't think you're going to do better than that. And I think you're lying to yourself if you think you're going to draft that. You know what I mean? Like those are, I don't want to call them unicorns, but like they're hard to find. It's hard to find 6'8" guys who have offensive skill but can also move defensively. If it was easy to find them, everyone would have a bunch of them. But no, most teams are dealing with the issues the Warriors are dealing with, where it's like my big athlete is too dumb to play my system, and the guy who's smart enough to play in my system is 6'4" and he's a little slow, you know, and you're dealing with that. Like we're just talking about the Lakers, you know. They have a better record than the Warriors right now. Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt. They have the physical tools of what you're looking for. But no, you know, they can't defend like that, you know, and that's where, or in Vanderbilt's case, he can defend like that, but he can't play offense like that, you know? So you just end up with just, yeah, there's a reason it's hard to find these guys and you pay a bunch of money for them.
At least they got tools. We draft guys with minds, and that's mainly it. I mean, every athletic guy that we've drafted, I think legit has been a bust in the last Joe Cabrera. So yeah, no, I'm fully in agreement with that. So yeah, I mean, we can go back, but we don't want too much trauma. So
appreciate you, Eugene.
Thanks, Eugene.
I got one more, then we get out of here. Tashion, what's up, bro?
I was having a great day until your guy just decided to remind me of my Dodger trauma again. I'm like, God damn it, bro. I hate it here. It's so unfair that my organization just decides to think that Marco Luciano is Jonathan Kuminga, but is actually good when they realize he's fucking sorry, bro. But I did want to say this with the bench. It's like, the bench has been really encouraging, especially with Melton and Al Horford deciding to not have back issues. I just want to ask this one question, or give kind of like a guess. Like, with that lineup of Al, Jimmy, Pods, Will Richard, and DeAnthony Melton, guess their net rating.
Ooh, how many minutes have they played?
So they played 22 minutes. So it's a small sample size, of course. But when we see them, of course, we know with our eyes, like it's damn bad.
Right now, if it's only 22 minutes, I'd say like plus 35. They've been ridiculous.
Close. It's actually plus 32. I think it's going
to do this.
Once we get a little bit more of a sample size, it's probably going to be like plus 20 or so. Of course, it will even out. But at the end of the day, we are seeing that. I think Melton is finally getting off the rust of an ACL, and he's arguably our 4th best player. And if you want to say 3rd best player, based on Warriors Twitter, based on how Draymond's looked the past couple of months, like by all means. But the fact that we are even having these conversations is insane. And I'm so thankful that Melton decided that he wanted to come back and he loves playing here. I just wanted to give that shout out to him.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Tashion. Melton, light years legend, by the way.
Yeah. Forever Warrior.
Forever Warrior. All right. Appreciate everyone. We'll be back.
Thanks, everybody.